Hi friends, Dean here with Escape to Gaming. It's kind of a little impromptu Sunday morning rant. We haven't had a lot of rain lately. The sun's kind of trying to peek out a little bit. It was pleasant in here. I went out yesterday and picked up a few games, slowly kind of chipping away at the collection. I've been really doing some hard thinking about my game collection, my game room, and my collection goals. I have a list of, these are not, I've kind of refined these from time to time. I have a whole list of games here. I got my list of PlayStation 3 games I want to get, not too many. Original PlayStation games and PS2 games. I've got a small list of, basically it's an attainable goal. There's not a lot of games. I have maybe 50 or so left of the original Xbox games. Most of them I've checked off. I got to refine these lists and rewrite them, but there's just a whole bunch of games. Like I've got Rally Sport Challenge 2 I want to buy. I just never come across it. Stuff like that. For my original Xbox, Xbox 360, games I'm slowly checking off. Pretty much, it's not a huge list. I mean, I've got them just checked off about half of them this morning or close to it. So it's attainable. I mean, they're very attainable goals. I've got 150 something physical copies of Xbox 360 games, Super NES games, not many, maybe 8 or 10. Sega Genesis games, maybe the same thing, another 8 or 10 more that I want to get. I got a list of Blu-rays that I'd like to get too. So I keep like a little log, and I update it from time to time. I go through and I'll look at these, and as I come across them, I'll take these little pages with me to the game store. And I'll just kind of go down through A through Z and kind of look and, oh shit, here's one. Well, I was looking yesterday. I'll just show you a couple pickups. I'll kind of tie this into the pickups video and I'll tell you what my thoughts are. Now, these are games that I've gotten just recently, which I haven't really done a pickups video in a while, but I got Carmageddon Max Damage. They had this on sale at my GameStop. I don't know if I got $20 or something. It was really cheap used, but I've been dying to play this. I thought it'd be a fun game. I just got at launch Sniper Elite 4. I mean, at the time to play this, I could be playing this right now, and instead I'm making a rant video instead. But I thought this was more important. I have the rest of my life to play games, and I'm dying, and I'm going to play this today. This is the only day off I've had. I was going to play this Friday, and then I was actually 30 minutes into it. I was so excited, posting videos on Facebook, and I finally get an unexpected call from a woman I've been going back and forth with about painting her, two-story interior. She finally called me back, and I won the bid. She wants me to do the job. So I had to kind of stop what I'm doing, go see her, go over the details of the job, and break down, what sheen on the walls and how extensive she wants to do it. So this gets shelved. I've got 30 minutes in this. I'm hoping to get to this today. But my buddy Steve in the UK just sent me Wipeout HD, which apparently I didn't even realize we couldn't get here in the States. This is a great game. I installed this in the PlayStation 3. I've had so much fun with this. Thank you, Steve. This is an awesome gift. Really appreciate this. And I just picked up, actually yesterday, I just got Fuel. I couldn't find I had played this on the Xbox 360 when it first came out. I wasn't a big fan of it. It just seemed kind of empty. Even though it's the biggest 5,000 square mile, physical, world, the biggest gaming world ever created in the Guinness Book of World Records. But I couldn't really get into it. But as I'm getting into trying to round out my racing collection of racing games, I had to have it. So I went ahead and got this. I haven't installed it yet, but I'm dying to try this again, give it another shot, because it is an interesting game. It's made by Codemasters, which I do like their games. And then Nailed. This is another one. I just got this recently. Again, I couldn't find it for the Xbox 360, but I've got a hard drive space on my PS3, and I don't mind having a couple of racing games on the PlayStation 3. Those are a couple games I've got for that. I'll quickly show you my, these are ones I've got fairly recently. I think this is most of them. I don't believe I've showed these in pickups. I got Psyops for the original Xbox. I love this game. I've been dying to get back to this. These are games that I had played back in the day at friends' homes, or some of them I had bought and tried out and then traded them back in. But it's nice to go back and revisit these games. That's kind of what the whole point of this rant is I'm going to get into. This Burnout 2. Now, I saw they had Burnout 1 there. I'm actually going back to my game store because I did some research on a couple games that I saw they had there. They have the Suffering 1 and 2, or The Hand That Binds, or whatever it's called, the second one. So they're holding 2 of the Suffering games for me, and what's the other one? Rockstar game, State of Emergency. They're holding for me down there. And then my GameStop is holding a Black Ops 2 Xbox 360 copy, which for some reason I've had a really hard time finding on the 360 lately. It's a one older Call of Duty game from last gen that I don't own, that I had at launch and enjoyed it somewhat. I just didn't like the strike missions, but I thought I'd give it another shot because I do like the story, and I miss playing those kind of games. So I'm going to go back in a little bit. I'm actually waiting for my store to open, so I thought I'd do this rant while I'm waiting. So, I've been having fun getting these old, original Xbox games, and I find them in excellent condition. My store, you pay a little bit more for them. Sometimes they're $5, sometimes they're $13, but they're always clean. They polish out the disc. There's no scratches. They got the original booklets, the whole deal. And so I'm having fun. I found this black edition of this Need for Speed Most Wanted. Now I also have this for the Xbox 360, and I prefer playing the Xbox 360 version, but I could pass this up to have this in my collection, the black edition with additional cars and probably challenges. I think it comes with a DVD as well. It was nice to have this, so I'd like, if there's a black edition for the Xbox 360, we'll see. Maybe I'll add that to my list. Quantum Redshift, this was a wonderful game from my good buddy Chance, who sent this and Secret Weapons Over Normandy. This is one of my absolute favorite flying games back in the day. Thank you, Chance. I'm so happy to have this back in my collection again. And this Quantum Redshift I've always wanted to play. I think it's done by the guys that worked on the original Wipeout, but it's only on the Xbox, which is kind of cool. So I'm happy to have that. And I just found, just the other day, I got SWAT Global Strike Team. I had played this on the PlayStation 2 and loved it. Probably better graphics on the original Xbox. And I've always wanted to try this Pitfall, the Lost Expedition, which also says right here, it says comes with comes with Pitfall 1 and 2. I don't know if they're the old Atari versions or what, but this looks like a great game. So this is an example of, this is a game that I had played. This is one that I haven't played, but I've always wanted to try it. I love the old Pitfall on the Atari 2600. It looks like kind of a reboot of it, and this could be a fun game. Now, I may not like this, and if I play this and don't like this, I can sell it. I can give it to a friend, but that's kind of the criteria for my collection, is that I'll collect games that I've played that I know for a fact that I like. I don't buy just games to buy games to fill out my shelves. I'm not interested in that. Only games that I like. And believe me, if I try this game out and I don't like this, this will go to a friend, or it'll be gifted to someone. I'll probably trade it in. I could sell it on eBay if it's worth anything. And that's how I like to go about my game collecting, is it? Because in the end of the day, it's all recycled. It's all recycled. I'm going to get into more of that in a minute. Grid. I bought this when it first came out. I had to have the original one. I have Grid 2 and Grid Motorsport. It has my Dodge Challenger back when it was a concept car. But this is such an iconic racing game from Codemasters. I had to have this in my collection. It's such a great game. My good buddy Cameron had raved about the Split Second. Dean, oh God, it's one of my favorite racing games. You got to try this out. Well, I've installed this, and man, this is a great, high-speed, very fluid racing game. Very right to the point, simple. Once you kind of know the patterns, it can become a little bit easier. But it's a great game. And I'm glad I'm going to be doing some specials on racing games coming up. So I'm rounding out all the racing games I can think of for the 7th gen. This Pure game, God, I love this. It's so much fun. Glad that I have this in my collection. Edge of Control I just got recently. And then I also got... it's funny, this is the 3rd time I've had this game. I bought it, pre-ordered it, got the special edition of it, limited edition, which is what this is. Didn't really like it, traded the thing in, bought it back again, traded the thing in again, and that's the 3rd time that I bought it. I have a love-hate relationship with this game. It does some things right. It actually has my Dodge Challenger in here. It looks very similar to like a 2012 one, but it's the same body style or whatever. But great graphics. It bothered me that you couldn't even pick the color of your cars, and the forced online leaderboards and stuff irritated me. But since I love the series so much, it's the only one that was missing. I said, I'll go ahead and get it, pick it up. It'd be nice to have it. And I even have some of the DLC of the movie cars and Fast and Furious cars and Smokey and the Bandits, Trans Am, stuff like that. I've got on DLC. And then yesterday, the last two, I got Army of Two 40th Day, which I had started to play a long time ago. I think when it first came out, kind of liked it, and then got rid of it. I could see it was more of a co-op game. Then later, I got the Devil's Cartel and absolutely loved that. So I said, you know what? I like the Devil's Cartel so much, I should give this a second chance. So I picked this one up, and then the Club, which a good buddy of mine recently just recommended. And I've seen older reviews. CGR Undertow did a review of this. I remember watching, got a long time ago. It looks interesting, kind of like done by Bizarre Creations, I think, that does racing games. Kind of like a racing game, speed runs of killing everyone in the room, kind of thing. It looks interesting. So, but these are games that I'll like. Now, if I try this out and I don't like this or really have an aversion to it, believe me, this will not stay in my collection. This will be traded in, or I'll sell it or give it away or whatever. And that's kind of the. So those are my pickups. I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna go get Black Ops 2, State of Emergency, and The Suffering 1 and 2 for my original Xbox. They also have, if they still have it, I'd like to get it. It was cheap, like $4 or $5. They had Crazy Taxi High Roller 3, or Crazy Taxi 3. I think it comes with Crazy Taxi 1 and 2 as well, the maps and everything in there. If they still have that, I might get that one too. But a lot of these games are cheap, you know. I can't afford to go nuts with the newer games. I'd love to get that Infinite Warfare right now, you know, for the PS4, but it's expensive. I want the Legacy Edition for an extra $20 for $80, where you get the Modern Warfare remastered or whatever. But so that's it for my pickups. But you know, getting back to the game room and my game goals, this is a tiny room. I mean, I'd guesstimate, what is it, maybe 10 by 11, 11 by 11, you know, maybe 11 by 12 at the very most. I doubt it's, you know, my friend Jay came over here recently and I physically saw the room and liked it, you know. And he thought it was novel to see the room that he's seen me do a couple of rants in. But I said, you can see it's a tiny room. It's just like not a lot of room to move around or do anything. The room was literally an art room. It was designed, I have an easel built into that wall for doing my upcoming, you know, gaming art, movie art and stuff, which that's what I wanted the room for. Now, we had a bigger 2,500 square foot, big 2-story house, and I had all these built-in beautiful wood shelves so I could have all my movies and my video games. And at that house, with that house and the rooms that I had set, I had one room designated just for like an art studio, another room I could have made a game room out of. It had so many rooms and bedrooms and huge vaulted ceilings, a gorgeous house. But I mean, my God, the electric bill was like $500 a month to run the AC in the summertime, or the heat in the winter, $450 a month. We'd, you know, still be wrapped up in, you know, blankets and sweats on and stuff, and you'd be freezing to death, you know, with these astronomical bills. And so my wife and I, my daughter moved out. We scaled down. We bought a little tiny house, you know, 1,300 and some odd square feet. I mean, for California, that's considered a very small house. Most of the homes I paint are like 3,500 square feet and up. I mean, 4,000, 5,000, 7,000 square foot homes, and, you know, millions of bathrooms and closets and 7 bedrooms. I mean, I paint so many of these big, corpulent homes. But, you know, it's like at the end of the day, when I die, I'm going to leave just as much as Howard Hughes. All of it. I mean, everything. Doesn't matter how many Lamborghinis or Corvettes or Ferraris you have. When you die, that's it. And all those cars will get recycled. And that home will get recycled. And the things that you have will get recycled. Now, because of health problems that I've had recently and more trips to the doctor, I just saw my doctor the other day, and, you know, some good news and, you know, more bad news with my health and things I'm going to have to change. I mean, I have to wonder, and I have to really start looking realistically at the end, you know, which is morose thought. I don't want to get into a, you know, big philosophical thing on the end of your life and all that. But I'm going to do my best to take care of myself, so I'll be around to be there for my wife and my daughter and my friends in the future. But I've had a somber talk with my wife over the last 18 months about, you know, if I die, I want all this to go to my buddy, you know, back east. And my wife goes, well, no, I understand that, and that's fine. I mean, I could do that, I suppose, but, you know, I might, if something happens and you die, you know, in the next few years, I might need to sell some of this stuff to stay afloat, you know. even though I'd like to have her keep my truck for posterity and all, she might have to auction here, dump that thing for 18 grand or 20 grand, get whatever she can get for it. She may need it, the money. Even though I'd like to, she probably would keep the Challenger, but she's not, that truck is too big for her. She'd just as soon sell that. And all this gaming stuff, I mean, she doesn't care about this. Now, my daughter's a gamer, and I could technically, leave some of it to her. She might appreciate like the PS4 Pro or something like that and a couple games, but so her and her boyfriend can play them. But I don't think she's going to want all this stuff. I don't know that my friend back east, Mikey, has room for all this stuff. I don't know. I mean, he's got a very limited space himself. I've been trying to get him to get an original Xbox to do it. I just don't have the room for it. It's not that I don't appreciate original Xbox. I just don't have the room. So even if I gifted him all my strategy guides and consoles and all these games, this would be a lot of boxes. It'd cost a small fortune to ship this stuff back east to the East Coast. But I mean, I'm looking at my goals. I mean, do I really need a Panasonic 3DO? I mean, initially I wanted to get one and maybe a half a dozen games for that, just to have it, because I love the industrial design of it. It was the console I really wanted the most in the 90s, and had lovingly saved up for, 7 or 8 months to buy the damn thing, and then I ended up getting the PlayStation 1 instead. And the rest is history. I'm glad I did. But, considering how finicky they are, and even the fact that the games don't run that great in them, is it really worth it? Is it really worth, getting a Panasonic 3DO and a dozen games for it? I mean, I have a Super NES. Now I've got 2 Mortal Kombat games that someone gave me, which are kind of the watered down versions of the game as they take the blood and stuff out of them. But I'm thankful to have them. I'm just thankful to have some Super NES games. And my God, they're getting expensive. I don't know that I could afford the Super NES games I have on my list here. I don't know. Some of them are getting outrageously expensive. Some of those earlier, Judge Dredd games, or the Punisher, or whatever it is on the Genesis, and those games are so expensive. But again, that's why I'm getting this Xbox, gone through and modded and dialed in, because I've heard I can emulate, up to 4,000 or 5,000 games. I got to have C64 games, Super NES games, Genesis games. And I said, considering the very limited space that I have, I mean, I don't have much more room for any more Xbox 360s. If I buy another 10 of them, I don't know where I'm going to have to put them. I mean, I could clear out my bottom shelf, I guess, get rid of all my strategy guides and put them in boxes in a closet. And I could put another, 30, 40 games down there maybe. But I'm quickly running out of room for more games. I mean, I just don't know how much more stuff I can collect. And so this has got me thinking. One of the reasons why I did this rant also is I had just a friend just yesterday on Facebook just announced that, hey, I got the final original Xbox. He finally has a complete original Xbox collection with every single original Xbox game. He's got a complete collection. And I'm like, and it's an impressive collection. I gave it a thumbs up. Hey, congrats, it's great. But it's like, my God, I mean, are you ever going to play all those games? Are you going to play all those sports titles? And I have another friend of mine who's going after one. And he's a few hundred away from getting his complete Xbox collection. But my God, he lovingly goes out every week and gets a couple here and a couple there, and he's chipping away at it. And recently he went out and he bought these really expensive games he has not a lot of love for. He goes, I better get these out of the way first because I know they're going to only go up and I'll have to pay more for them down the road. So he spent all this money on these expensive, games for the original Xbox. They're relatively rare. Some of them are upwards of $100 now. And it's like, well, that's great. I mean, as long as you're happy. I mean, if you have the room for it and you can afford it, hey, God bless you. Have fun with the collection and go nuts. I mean, I got friends that have, complete N64 collections and have a beautiful, all the boxes, even though some of the games didn't come with boxes, there's companies that make the boxes or the artwork, so, and you can make it like a brand new collection, and it's exciting. It's kind of neat that they make cases for Super NES games and Sega Genesis games, and you can have a complete collection. I got another friend of mine, Chris, Nova Bug, that's going after a full, I think it's a Wii U collection. He wants to have like every single Wii U game, and that's great. If that's what your goal is and you have the room and the money for it and can realistically do it, that's great. But you have to wonder, at the end of the day, is it going to add really any more value onto your life? I mean, and people could say that, well, Dean, is any of these buying all these games adding value to your life? Well, what I'm doing, what my goal is, and I've mentioned this many times, is I want to build a collection of games because I'm going to be forced to retire at some point because of health issues. I don't know how many more years I can do these giant homes on my own. I'm going to try to do it another 5 or 6 years, get my Challenger paid off, and then at that point maybe segue into doing my art, which is going to be less strenuous. I can sell my artwork online. I'm obviously going to make a lot less money doing it, but it's something that'd be kind of fun to do, and I feel that I could do it. As I pay cash for things, I don't like to buy things on credit, so when I buy stuff, I have the money for it, or I won't do it. I have a budget, a very small budget that I can allot on, games. And so what I'll do is I could buy a couple new games, or I could buy a shitload of other games, of older games at a couple bucks a piece, $3-5 a piece. Some of these I'll pay a little more, pay $13 or something for if I think they're worth it. There's one the other day, an older game I paid close to $20 for it because I've had a hard time finding it. It was complete, it was in perfect condition. I said, you know what, I'm going to even pay more on eBay. I might as well get it now and have it. So some people would argue that at the end of the day, I mean, you're just renting all this stuff. You don't really own anything. And that all this game collection and everything is just going to get recycled and end up in someone else's hand, that you never really own it. It's an interesting philosophical way of looking at it. I suppose it's true. And I'm already kind of thinking in those terms. That's why, for me, I have to be realistic. I want to look at just games. I really like the 5th and 6th and 7th gen about the best. So you'll see that my focus is collecting, PlayStation 2 games, PS3 games. I've got couple 3DS games because of my good buddy George sent me, and I'm thrilled to have those. Those are great when I go on road trips. It's nice. When I go to Lake Tahoe or something, I bring that 3DS with me. I got something to play in the hotel room, and I like that. It's fun to have a little gaming system. I have to wear the old man reading glasses for it, but it's a lot of fun. But I'm running out of room. Yeah, there's more strategy guides I'd like to get. I'm getting close. I don't have a lot of, maybe another 50 original Xbox games. That's my biggest collection. Maybe another, 10 or 12 PlayStation 2 games. Not too many. I've got pretty much, I'm getting close. I can see the ends in sight. I could probably wrap up my collection this year if I stayed on it, chipped away at it, and didn't go nuts trying to buy another backup Super NES. And what's going to kill me is the prices of those Super NES games. That's why if I can do it via emulation, I may just do that. It's nice having the hardware. I love looking and seeing that Super NES. It brings a smile on my face when I look at it, remember the good times. I'd love to have a Commodore 64, but the floppy disks, they don't work anymore. The cassette tapes are all worn out. It's such a finicky, weird system that I could be happy just emulating those. And those are kind of memories that I may never be able to experience those games again. That's sad. I can't play Revs Plus again on my C64 or Syndicate on the C64. The first Wasteland and Spy versus Spy and all those great games, Island Caper. So many of those games that I loved back in the day that were so exciting at that time. And if I had the room, I'd love to have a C64 sitting on one of these shelves, or I just don't have the room. And I have to really look hard at my collection. Now, I'm not going to change my goals midstream as far as, okay, that's it, I'm going to start selling this collection, I'm done, I mean, for years I've done that. I had someone comment, I just did a, VR to someone. He left a comment, he goes, well, I'm fine with the old games, that's all well and good, but at the end of the day, gaming needs to progress forward. And I can appreciate that. I don't know that having all these PlayStation 4 games even matters. I mean, because so much of these are keys to downloading a whole game anyway. I don't even know. So now the line is blurred on collecting physical stuff for the current gen. But as long as I can play them offline, if the hardware is good, if I have a PS4 and a backup PS4 and backup hard drives, especially external hard drives, and I can store all my games, physical, digital, whatever, and maintain that hardware and take care of it and keep transferring the data and keep it going. In fact, I just got a data transfer cable yesterday for $15. I finally found a used one to go from one slim to the other. So now, maybe later today, if I have time, or sometime this week, I want to transfer all that 320 gig information over to the 500 gig hard drive, and then that way I can store more and install more of my DLC heavy, patch heavy, Xbox 360, games in that console. And I may put the other one Xbox 360 up on my desk, the TV, to play games there, and then use the other one up on my big TV. So I have a clear goal. I know what I'm the kind of a person. When you're 54 years old, you know what you like, and you certainly know what you don't like, and you think, you see things with clarity. You really have a somber look. I see the end of my life now. Whether I live another 3 years or 30 years, I see the end, and I make every decision every day is made with that in mind, knowing that. So I have to be realistic. There's not many more Xbox 360 games, maybe another 20, 30 tops that I'm going to buy. And if I have to, build another shelf or find a place for them, I'll figure it out. I'll make room for them. Not too many. There are more PS1 games, maybe another 20 or so PS1 games. I'm real happy with my PS1 collection. Yeah, it'd be nice to have a Sega Saturn, and Sega Dreamcast and stuff like that, and try to collect those games. Those games are so expensive, and because so many of those are on the PlayStation, I have to be realistic. I'd love to have a GameCube to play Rogue Squadron, and a GameCube is affordable. I've seen those at my little game shop for $35-40. I could afford a GameCube, and maybe a handful of games, some of those Rogue Squadron games. And there were a couple others that were kind of exclusives to the GameCube as well. In fact, yesterday I saw, oh look, Judge Dredd. And I was so excited, and it was at the end of the Xbox games. I thought it was an original Xbox game. It was a GameCube. I'm like, oh shit. So that's one of my holy grails, is that, Judge Dredd game for the original Xbox. But if I had a GameCube, I could have bought it right then and there and had it with the manual and the disc and the whole deal. But it is what it is, it's fun. But I think I have realistic goals, and I don't know. I don't know how you guys feel. I know that many of my friends that, talk to me in the comment section, and I've talked to them on Twitter and Facebook. I know that they've gotten rid of their Xbox 360s and PlayStation 3s. They just don't have the room. I know over in the UK that space in particular is very, very limited. And, my buddy Ben just did a video. He's talking about having to get rid of some of his old, I don't know if it was Super NES games or his old Sega Mega Drive games, getting rid of some of them because he can play them on a handheld. And even though it's nice having them, he just doesn't have the money. So the games do represent a certain amount of money. You can sell some of them and make some money, so that way you can buy, a new PS4 Pro or with some of that money or whatever. And I understand that. I hate to see anyone sell their old collections. That's it. I'm selling off my Super NES collection. I see this all the time. People selling off their Mega Drive collections and their Super NES collections and PlayStation 1 collections and all that. And I'm like, God, don't do it. You're going to regret it, But everyone has to decide for themselves what they place a value on. Leave in the comments below, how do you feel about game collecting? You think it's worthwhile at all? I know a lot of the younger gamers have really no love for it. Yeah, they have a couple Xbox 360 games kicking around because they just, for whatever reason, they couldn't get rid of them. But for the most part, they've moved on, and they've got, new Xbox Ones and PlayStation 4s and, Wii U's, whatever, and that's where they're investing in those systems and games now. And they don't really care. It's like, well, yeah, that was fine. I've kind of done that, been there. I played Gun. I played The Godfather. I played all those old Modern Warfare, Call of Duty games. I don't need to replay those and revisit those games. I played Time Shift. I played Crackdown and Red Dead Redemption. Yeah, I might, go back and revisit, Red Dead Redemption someday because it's popular. Right now people are going back and they're playing GTA 4 because it's, backwards compatible. It's novel. That's another reason why it's kind of nice to keep some of these games for the Xbox 360, because you never know. Some of these might become available, as backwards compatible. And this becomes basically a key. I didn't even know. It's funny, when I did that video the other day, I was talking about the Xbox backwards compatibility. And someone had told me that before, and I had forgotten that basically that all these are is a key. You have these old discs, you put the thing in, it recognizes it, and then you can download the game that's patched to be able to play on an Xbox One. which is interesting. So in theory, it's really not even backwards compatible. These are just keys. So enjoy these big keys that have in your shelves, I guess. I don't know. I don't want to knock the backwards compatibility issue. I know many people like it. Like I said, it's just not enough games of the games that I like on it. But it's a good thing. Whether it's emulated or whether it's, the real thing that's played off a machine. I think it's nice people can do that. And I wish Sony would sell it. But I have no interest in that Sony Now thing where you apparently rent the games. You're buying these PlayStation 3 games. You can play the Resistance or whatever, but you're renting it. A stream service. I have zero interest in something like that. So if that goes away, I won't lose any sleep over that at all. But how do you feel about game collecting? Is it worth it to you? Do you see it as something that's just a passing thing, that's just a phase? Is it worthwhile? I have many retro friends, especially over in the UK, and they love collecting their old retro games. And it is nice. I like seeing those complete, N64 collections and Sega Dreamcast collections and all that. I think it's so cool. I wish I had the space and the money to do it, and to have the backup systems, because some of those systems are kind of finicky, especially those CD disc drive deals that go out. I mean, those games don't always last forever, sadly. So, like I said, I even have a list of strategy guides of maybe another 20 or so that I want to get for strategy guides, and just a handful of games. But I feel good. I feel the end is in sight, and it's realistic. And if I just chip away a little bit here and a little here, every couple of months I buy a few games, a couple dollars here. Before you know it, I'll have pretty much everything I need. And the few games that I can't find, like that Judge Dredd one, I can go on eBay and have them tomorrow. I mean, if I really want them. And just have them. I just got to get my wife to do it. And, oh, God, you're going to buy more games? You're ever going to play these games? And I got to hear a whole lecture and then go through her having to deal with PayPal and all that. And so to me, I'll save that. I'm going to wait and save that for when I absolutely have to do it. Because she doesn't mind. If I come home with a couple games, it doesn't bother her too much. But if I all of a sudden need her help to go buy them online, and she controls the money and the PayPal and the accounts and all that, it's problematic for me. And I'd rather just wait, spend another 2 years looking for it locally, because then I can buy it without the grief. So, but she understands. I mean, she thinks a lot of this is a waste of money, and I'm sure many of my friends' wives feel the same way. Some of them are into gaming somewhere. She likes to watch me game, but she sees these and goes, "Dean, you're ever going to play these games?" I said, "Oh yeah." She hates these 2 analog TVs. She goes, "I wish you'd get rid of those big TVs. Think of all that space. You could have shelves under there." I go, "It's true. Yeah, it's true. I could put one of the analog TVs up on top of this wood thing here, but I like these. I mean, someday I want to play these old PlayStation 1 and Super NES games via, composite cables or whatever, or video cables, and I like having these analogs. I'm not a hoarder. I don't consider myself a hoarder. I believe that I have practical goals. Maybe I'm only deluding myself, but how do you feel about all this? I mean, is it worth having all this stuff? Is it worth having 2 analog TVs and backup, PS2s and original Xboxes and Sega Genesises? And I've got a Sega Genesis here, and I've got another Sega Genesis over there. And I do have one nice, non-yellowing Super NES, which I love having, but I see the day's going to come where it's going to have to wind down. I can't keep collecting stuff indefinitely. At the same time, I'm buying more Blu-rays, and now should I get a 4K Blu-ray player and then start buying all those all over again? I just don't want to do it. I'm getting to the point where I'm just tired of spending money. I don't like to spend money. I'm getting cheaper as I get older, because I see how hard I have to work for everything, and everything comes at a cost, and I have to weigh all that out now. So that maybe this Panasonic 3DO goal may have to go away. That amounts to a couple $100 with the games that I want to get and the system, and that it has to be clean and the original packaging and everything. I mean, that's an expensive little thing. I don't know that I can afford that. I'm re-looking at getting a second Super NES. I still would like I said, the GameCube I'd like to get. In N64 I thought of having some N64 games too, but I don't know. I just don't really have the room for it. And I don't know that I'm going to play all of them. But I do love the 5th, 6th, and 7th gen. And there you can see a pattern. Those are the game systems that I've put most of my money and time into collecting for. So that's my little spiel on collecting. I know at the end of the day we don't own anything, that all of this can go away, and will end up being recycled. And it's kind of sad to think that things that I put so much feeling and meaning into, and arranging and holding and cherishing and enjoying, you know, I look at these games and I get so much out of these games, and looking at them and opening them up and just going through these manuals, looking at a full color manual, and it brings back the memories of when I, you know, in the early 2000s when I had and played these games, whether it was on this system or the PlayStation 2. And you know, I'm becoming a sentimental old fool, I suppose, and maybe I think that comes with age. That's what I was telling my buddy in his comedy. He left a comment and he goes, "Yeah, Dean, I'm okay with the old stuff, but gaming has to progress and move forward." You can see that he's a younger gamer. That this is the mindset of a lot of people. That's why people are just streamlining and just playing PC-only games, because they can get them cheap and just store them all on a big hard drive. It takes up less space. And I can see it, I get it, but the day's going to come when you get older, you're going to miss these old games, man. You're going to miss all these old games. All of them. You're going to miss them. And you're going to remember those games, and you may not be able to play them on a PC anymore. You know, who knows? I don't know what the future's going to hold. I mean, I have a lot of old games, like that old Blade Runner point-and-click game. You can't play that on damn near any PC. So even PC gaming, I mean, is problematic. They just pulled Wolfenstein 2009 off from Steam for some reason. I mean, you know, you probably can't play that anymore. If you don't have a physical copy, you might be screwed. I don't know, but I like for posterity. I like to have these. I mean, they mean a lot to me. My wife doesn't have to get it. My daughter certainly doesn't have to understand my reasonings, or many of my friends, but to me it's important to collect the things that mean something to you. You have to be selective, and it's tricky. It's a real balancing act. So anyway, another long-winded spiel. Let me know in the comments how you feel about it, and thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. This is one of those little kind of a last-minute impromptu videos I wanted to get out for my friends, because I've been thinking a lot about game collecting and my game collecting goals, because I see the ends in sight, and I'm excited about that. And I just want to get back to the business of playing games if I can ever find the time to do it. So I'm looking forward to this Sniper Elite 4 later today. I've already the graphics look amazing on the PS4 Pro. It plays at a really high frame rate. It looks fantastic. I'm so excited. And I love newer gaming. I don't know. I'm excited about the old stuff, but I love the new stuff too. And I don't want to give any of it up. I want to hang on to this. And I'm going to try to collect as long as I can these PlayStation 4 games. And if I get an Xbox One, I'll try to collect some of my favorite Xbox One games and exclusives as well, because I don't want to lose. Someday I'm going to miss this game, like I'm already missing, you know, Sniper Elite 3. I was debating whether or not to play that before this came out. I just haven't had the time. But it's nice having the option to revisit these old friends. And they are old friends, and that's why I like to collect them. I like to hang on to my friends. I don't like to discard them like they mean nothing. Because if anything is worth having and placing a value on, it's worth keeping. You know, whether that's friendships, whether it's games, what have you. And I like to take care of the things that are meaningful to me and hang on to those things. I just treat gaming like a paper towel and water. Okay, that was a nice experience, and throw it away and then never go back to it. It's hard for me, that very concept. But that's just my own neurotic thinking on it probably. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and enjoy your games.